Okay, hello. So this is the tutorial on how to automate emails from data from Power BI. It's not fully automated. There's one thing you have to do daily to have it send emails automatically, but it takes only like 1 minute max. So this right here is a reference sheet on Microsoft Word. So in case you want to check out step by step, and then we're going to copy and paste a lot of stuff, so you're actually going to need this. And then this is a big thing. You need access privileges from your Power BI, and you need to be able to work in a workspace that's not D2, D3, D1. You need like your own workspace, which everybody has by default, but you need access privileges for this Power BI. I know a lot of the training managers do have access privileges, so that might not be a problem for most of you. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Power BI that we have running. So now you can see we have a name and email, and this is like a due date, let's say. So if these guys were in training, this would be their training due date. So we have these three things. In most Power BIs, you're going to have a lot more rows and a lot more columns. It doesn't matter. All we're going to do is we're going to go to this data tab right here, and we're just going to create a new query. So you can either copy and paste from the notepad, but this is what it looks like. This is the original one, and then we're going to do a little bit of modification so it can go into Power Automate. But this is the basic format. We're going to go over it step by step real quick. I'm not going to explain everything just because it takes a lot of time, and it's already long enough to set this up. So we're going to click New Table, and then it's going to say table whatever equals whatever. So this is table 2. I'm going to take off this space just because the spaces in the names can mess it up a little bit. I would recommend doing that as well if you have a space, but it should just say table. So table equals selected columns, and then I'm going to press Shift Enter for spacing. So the first thing we need is the name of the actual data source. So here is the actual where the data is sourced. It's called sheet 1. So this has our date, our email, our name. For a lot of you guys, it's going to have a different name, but so for this one, it's sheet 1. So we're going to do single quote sheet 1, or you can just copy the format on the Excel sheet, comma. Now we're going to double quote, and this is going to be our column names. So we want the date and comma. This is going to be from sheet 1 date. There we go. And then the next one we want is the email, double quotes around all these, by the way, or around these names, and then comma, double quote, comma, sheet 1 email, and then we're going to do comma, Shift Enter, name. But you can just copy and paste and change what you would like for it to fit as well. You should be able to figure it out. Name. Okay. So now I have all 3 attributes that I want to reference. For most of you all, the only ones you really need email, and you need the due date of their training. This third one I'm just going to use to help make the email more personalized. You don't really need that at all. I'll show you at the very, very end. But yeah, so we're going to test this. Let's see if this works. There we go. Yeah, see it. So this makes a table of just the columns that we want. So this is all we want right now, but this is actually happens to be that's all that is in the data as well. But so we're not actually going to use anything in Power BI. This is just a test that the query works. And so what we're going to do is, let me pull up the notepad to show the transformation real quick. We got to turn this within the dash barriers. We got to turn this query right here into this. So all we're going to have to do is, let me paste this down here. So you're going to paste this query somewhere, and then on this one, you're going to have to write define in all caps above your query when you paste it. So we get define, and then you're going to have to write var before the name. Var. Let's get rid of the space just so it looks equivalent. So now we have define and var in front of the query that was working. And then after this, you just have to do evaluate and then the name of the table. So this right here. So we're going to type in evaluate table 3, and this is going to be the query that you need. You can see it's the exact same as this, except there's define, var, and evaluate at the end. It shouldn't be too hard to get from there to there. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our browser, and you're going to be on internet by default. If not, you can just look up Power Automate on Google, but you can click on these 9 dots right here, and it's going to open up your apps. So we're going to go to Power Automate. This is what's going to be doing everything, the back end. So what we're going to do is when this opens up, we're going to click a new flow. We're going to create a flow, and we want one that's scheduled, so it comes every single day. We're going to click on that. Name's going to be tutorial Power BI to Excel. Now we're going to have another flow after this. This one's just going to take the data out of Power BI and put it into Excel automatically. We're going to do it every day at 10 a.m. So create. The time doesn't really matter as long as it's growing daily. So now we have this. So this whole flow automatically runs once a day. We're going to create a new step, and then in this search bar we're going to type in Power BI query, and this is what we want. We want the run a query against a dataset action. We're going to click on that, and then you're going to click the workspace that this Power BI is downloaded or is inside of. This can get a little bit tricky because if you have it in a D3 or D2 workspace, it's not going to be able to access it from Power Automate. So you're going to have to actually copy the workspace, or you're going to actually have to copy the BI into your own personal workspace. But if it's private and nobody can access it, it shouldn't matter. So I'm going to access my own workspace. My workspace. And then this data set that I published is called, or this report that I published is called export data. So we're going to take the data set from export data. And then the query text is just what we made in here. So that line of code that we just made, we're just going to paste that in there. And then, so that's going to take what we want from Power BI. Now we have to convert it to Excel. And this is kind of annoying because there could just be like one step where it just converts it for you, but we're going to have to do a bunch of different steps. So you just follow my lead and just paste and copy as I am. So we're going to do create CSV table, create CSV table. It's going to be under actions. There it is. Okay, so create CSV table under actions. And then it's going to be from, and then when you click on this, this will pop up. If not, you just click on this. This is dynamic content and this is expression. So this you put in code and stuff, and this you can click on reference things that were previously gotten. So for this one, we reference this step. So it's going to be the Power BI logo, and it's going to be first table row. Yeah. Right. So now we have that. Next up, we have to compose CSV content. So we're going to do this next step called compose. You're going to see this a lot. Compose, and then it's going to be CSV content. So we're going to rename this. All the names are actually really important because the copy and paste code is based on the names. Yeah, so compose CSV space, compose space CSV content. So make sure that matches up. So after we've renamed this compose CSV content, we're going to go into the Word document, and you can see right here, I have this code right here. We're going to copy and see how it says like create CSV table. This is the names are important because the code will not work if the name's not lined up. So we're going to click in here, and this is code, so we're going to click on expression, paste that in there. Oops. So we're going to expression and then paste, okay. So this is just going to basically turn this into a different data type. And then that's done. So we're going to do compose again. And this is just going to create a line break. So we're going to name this one compose line break. Make sure these names are correct or everything will not work. So we compose a line break. And then this is a very simple thing. So all we do in here, you literally just press enter once. And it's going to create this enter. And so this is just used in formatting the data. So the next step is split rows, compose split rows. So another compose action. And this one's going to be called compose split rows. And then we're going to look in here and we're going to have this code in here. So again, this code is referencing these, so you got to make sure these names are correct or it will not work. So we put in an expression, press OK. This one's done. Next after compose, we have column names. So this one's also a compose, but for some reason it doesn't say compose in the title. So we got compose, and then when we rename it, it's just column names. Column names. No compose for some reason, but just type in column names, you'll be all right. And then we're just going to copy and paste this into there. Whoops. Paste it into the expression, and then OK, so then it works. Next step, new function, we're going to be doing select. So the select data operation, we are going to, you can see I have two different codes right here, 3 actually. So on this from, we're going to paste this in into the expression. Don't forget. So we're going to click on that expression, paste, OK. Okay, so now in map, this is actually important to pay attention to, because on this one, we have these two, and these are based on the different parts of your table. So if you only ran a query against 2 data sets, or 2 columns, so the date and the email, then all you have to do is you have to do only 2 of them. So on this one we have 3, so we need 3 of these of both these commands, and then if we have like 5, we need 5. But the thing is, the coding is, it's called 0 index, so the first variable is referenced by 0. So we need a 0, a 1, and a 2. If you had 5 variables, you need a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. If you had 2, you just need a 0 and a 1. So for this one, we need a 0, a 1, and a 2 because we have 3 variables. What we're going to do is we don't have to change anything for this first map. But you can see this code has a 0 in it. So we're going to go to expression. This goes on the left. And then this goes on the right. Paste that into expression. All right. So now for the second one, we're going to change the 0 to a 1 because it's referencing 1 in the data. So we're just going to copy the same thing. Oh, whoops. We're going to paste it into expression. Turn the 0 into a 1. And then we're going to copy from here again. Turn the 0 into a 1. And then you can also copy from here as well. Put this in here. Turn this 1 into a 2. And then we're going to do this one. Turn this 1 into a 2. If you have more, you just do more. It's fine. So now from here, we're going to actually have to test the flow. So we're going to save, make sure everything's good. It won't save if you have different things missing. So if you have anything missing or anything wrong, go back and look over what we just did. And then we're going to test our flow. So we click on test and then manual and then test. And then it's going to have a run flow button. So we're going to test this real quick, make sure everything's working. I'm going to middle click on this just so it pops up in a new tab. You can also right click and open in a new tab. But okay, so we got it in the new tab. So we're going to look at the run history. Okay, so you can see it succeeded, which is good. So we click on it. If you have any questions, just email me about this. I'm open to help everything. You can look at all the steps, see how they work. This one took this data out. It shows all the data that we took out, blah, 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 blah. So we want, what's important right now is we want the select. So right here in select, we're going to use the output of select to train this, the parse JSON feature, which we're about to do. So all you have to do is highlight behind this bracket and just get a couple of these. You don't have to get all of them. So I'm just going to get the first 4. And then we're going to end before it opens another curly bracket. So we just, whoops, we just need this. So copy. I guess it's just copying all of it. We just need like the first few. I'm going to do Control C so it doesn't highlight all of them. Okay, so now we got that copied. Let's go back to our flow. And then we're going to do the parse JSON step. So literally PARSE JSON. This is going to pop up. We're going to click on this. And then for content, we select the output of the select. So output. And then we don't put anything in schema. We click generate from sample. And we paste that output in that we just had. But you're not done yet. We have to remove this comma right here. And then remember we had that bracket at the top. We got to close that bracket. So boom. Because we had this open bracket at the top. It gets closed normally if you go through all the items. But we only selected 4, so we have to close that ourselves and make sure there's no comma at the end. So now this will generate this for it. So that makes it a lot easier. And then we can even run the flow again if you want, just to test. You can run the flow between each step if you would like to test. But we're going to keep going. We're going to do a for loop. So we're going to, it's called a for each. Apply to each, sorry. It's called apply to each. Just type that in there just to be extra sure. Apply to each. And then we're going to click on the output of JSON. It's going to be the body, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's the body. And then we're going to add a couple compose actions. You're going to add a compose action for each one of the data types that you have. So if you have just the name, or if you just have the email and the due date, just the email and the due date. So this one's going to be compose. We're going to change this to, let's change this name to date, just so we know what's going on. So we're going to click on the compose, and then dynamic content under parse JSON, it's going to be the date. So you just do this for all of the variables that you have from the query. Compose. And then we're going to name this one email. Oops. It's going to be the email from JSON. And then we're going to do another compose. And we're gonna throw the name in there. And you just do this for however many things that you want. So after this, we're going to actually create the Excel file. So we got to do this weird thing here. Um, we are going to create an Excel file in Teams. So you need a team that is also not of security. So I see you can just make your own teams if you want, or if you already have your own team. Anything that's not has no security on it. Um, so I have this Trevor testing one, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new Excel workbook, and then we're just gonna name it temp workbook. Right, and so once this is created, we can close it out. And we're going to delete this right after this, but you just have to do this for some reason. And then so we're going to do, I believe it's get file content. Yep, get file content. So it's going to go to get file content. And then I'm going to link it to my SharePoint. It's going to be under Trevor testing. Folder is going to be shared documents, general, and then temp workspace or workbook, right? So we're going to save this, and then we are going to run the flow. Test manual test, and then run flow. We're going to open this up in a new page. Boom, yeah, it worked. Okay. So it runs correctly. This is good. We're going to open the get file content, and then we're going to copy this output right here. This is a lot bigger than it looks. We're going to copy this. We're going to go back to our edit flow, and we're going to compose one more thing. Now the title on this one's important too. It's going to be called file content. And we're just going to paste that giant thing in there. After we have that, we can delete this step right here though, this get file content. We can delete it because we just have it in this compose. So the next step is we create file. So you type in create file, it's going to create a SharePoint file. SharePoint, on your SharePoint, make sure it's create file SharePoint. And then we're going to put it where we want. So in my, we can also delete the file in Teams right now too, because we don't need it anymore. We don't need it. So now we're going to create a file in my Teams with the folder path. Let me see. Folder path, share documents, blah, 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 blah. Anywhere you want it works. So I'm going to keep it here in general. Make sure you have this XLSX at the end. XLSX, because if you don't, it will not work. Yeah, that. Just make sure you'll run into a bunch of problems. So under file content, we're going to go to the output of the file content. And then beyond this, we're going to make a new step. We're going to make the, create table. Okay, so we're going to create a table. And this is going to be the Excel icon. And then we're going to make it go into my SharePoint group. And then we're going to have it go into documents and then file. The file is going to be the ID of the create file that we just did. So the SharePoint icon ID. And then the table range. So if you have one variable, it's just A1. If you have two variables, A1 to B1. If you have three, like we have in this example, it's A1 to C1. And then the table name does not matter. Tutorial table name. And then, so these column names are going to be the names of your attributes that we just had. So yet again, name, email, and then date. And so let's test this real quick. Let's see what happens. It worked. Okay, cool. So now we can double check this by going into Teams, and then you can actually go into your own team to where you have your files. And so this is tutorial file.xlsx. So we can open that, and it's still gonna have nothing in it. This next part's gonna populate it, but it's cool because it works. There is one thing I should mention before we go on. There is some weird thing to where if an Excel sheet has been modified in the last 6 minutes, it won't work with Power Automate. So sometimes you'll have this weird error and it'll say like permission access locked or something, even if you're not in a D3 or D2. And you literally just have to wait like 6 minutes until like you can open it. So we'll see if we run into that. Hopefully not. Be aware of it though. So now we're going to go back to editing, and then we're going to make we're almost done here. For each, I think that's what it's called. No, we're going to make a apply to each. All right, so we have this apply to each loop, and then we want to apply it to every single JSON body. So we scroll down to JSON, parse JSON right here, the dynamic content, and then we're going to do every single body. Okay, so once we have this apply to each loop, we're going to add row to table. Add a row into table, and then we're going to select same stuff, Trevor testing, whatever team you have it located in, documents as well. And then the file is going to be, this one is going to be actually the ID of the SharePoint. Scroll down to create file SharePoint, and then just click on this ID. And then this table is just, it's going to say this, you're going to have to press enter custom value, and then we're just going to press name. Okay, so for the row, what you have to do is you have to do an open curly bracket, and then we're going to do quote, name, quote, has to be double quotes, and we're going to do colon, quote, quote, comma, right? And so we're going to do this for all the variables once again. Quote, date, quote, colon, quote, quote, comma, quote, email, quote, colon, quote, quote, no comma because this is the last one, and then we're going to finish the curly bracket off. So within these quotes, we're going to put the JSON equivalent yet again. So we're going to scroll down to JSON, and then we got the name, we have the date, and then we have the email. We're going to save. Now the formatting on this has to be perfect or it's going to glitch on you. So this should actually be it for the first part. So if we run this, it should create a table with everything that's in the Power BI into Excel. We're looking for test succeeded. All right, we got test failed. Aha. Okay, so this is actually just what I was talking about. This is a perfect example. When it says this file is locked for shared use, that means if it's been opened in the last 6 minutes, you can't open it. So what we're gonna have to do is wait 6 minutes to do this. Very annoying stuff. So we're just gonna have to wait, and then we'll be back. I waited 6 minutes and tried it again, and the test worked. See it right here, test succeeded. So when you click on that, it'll show you it went all through all of the steps. And so we're gonna look at my Teams file, and then it should be under tutorial file. We're gonna click on this, files, and you can see it was updated a few seconds ago. So we open it. There's all our data. So this should, at this point, all of your data should be in the Excel file. So the automation should work all the way out to exporting it to the Excel file. Now, all we have to do is create one more flow. So once this works, we got to remember that you can only open it every 6 minutes or so. So if you make sure you close this Excel file before you run it. And if you have it open trying to make it run, it won't work either. So you have to keep it closed for 6 minutes and such. So make sure you don't have it open also. We're going to make one more flow. So this works. This is our tutorial Power BI to Excel file. We're going to make one more flow. And so we're going to click on create. And then we're going to do another scheduled cloud flow. And then if you can, I would try to run this at least 30 minutes or an hour after the last flow. So the last one we had running at 10 a.m. every day. We're going to have this one working at 11 a.m. If you want it at 6 a.m., that works too. I would try to separate them though, just because of that weird 6-minute timer thing that happens. So just for this, we're going to do that. And then tutorial email flow. So this is actually a lot simpler than the last one. First step that we're going to do is we're going to list rows present in table after this reoccurrence. First step, list rows present in table. So right here, pay attention, this is actually the only thing you're ever going to have to edit. The rest is fully automated. Every day, before you want to email all your people, you're going to have to click on the location of the updated file, because for some reason, when a file gets put into Excel from Power Automate, it's at a different location. So all you have to do is click on where that file is once a day, and it will send emails out to everybody who has training due in the next 3 days, the next 7 days, or whatever you would like. So we're going to go to that file real quick. And we have tutorial file. That's what ours is called. So this is all you have to do, and you click on the only table that pops up. That's all you have to do every single day. You just have to go back into this automate and click on tutorial file. Click on the file, and then it'll be ready to go. But beyond that, everything else is automatic. The next step is that we have to initialize these variables. So basically what these are just a variable that says 3 days in advance and whatnot. So we're going to create a new step. We actually want a parallel branch here, but we'll just do one. Initialize variable. Damn, if I can spell it. Initialize variable. And so the value here is just going to be an expression, and we're going to paste this. So this is going to be 3 days from now. You can see this. This is basically a function that says add days, and then within that is the today's date, and then it wants 3 days from today's date, and then it wants it in this format. So it's basically today's date, 3 days in the future. If you want it 4 days in the future, if you want to remind them 1 day ahead of the date, we can change this to 1. So we'll give them a day in advance. If we want 10 days in advance, we can make it 10 days. We're going to do 1 day in advance, actually. So 1 day before their training is due, this will come up. And let me just check to make sure this is good. Okay, so we need a name, and then this has to be a string. So this is going to be 1 day out. We're going to name this initialize variable 1 day out. Right, and then so right here we're going to click on add parallel branch. You can have as many of these as you want, but this is also so we can send a separate email from a different day. So we're going to do initialize variable. This is just going to be a different amount of time from the due date. So this one will be 7 days out. String. And we're going to paste that same expression in, but we're going to change it to 7 because we want 7 days away. And yeah, we can change the name too. All right, so from here, next step is we have to do an apply to each. We're almost done, just stay with me. And then apply to each value. Correct. Let me check this. Yeah, apply to each value. So this is applying to every single value in the table. So we're going to compose two variables real quick. This one's going to be called date. Close that. This is just going to be the date from the Excel sheet, and then we're going to compose one more. Date formatted. Oh yeah, so we have to go into our Word, and then the date formatted is going to be this. So it's just the, it just changes basically the date from the Excel file to match the same format as this date right here. And then from here, we're going to do a conditional. Condition, okay, sorry. So condition. So if the formatted date from the Excel sheet, which so we click on the date formatted output, is equal to 1 day away. So if anybody's due date is 1 day away, we are going to email, send an email, right, to the email address of that person. So we click on there, add dynamic content, and then we're going to go to the Excel file, email. All right, we're almost there. So this is, we're going to make the subject. You can make the subject or the body whatever you want. So we're going to do training due in 1 day. Dear, this is where you can use all the other variables that you included. So we have the name actually in here of the person. So we're going to go dear name, comma, your training is due tomorrow, or however you want to say it. Please complete. Right? And so this is all we have to do. This is all we have to do for the 1 day in advance. Right? So this is going to send an email. This will work. We can test it. I'm gonna actually modify the values of the data so it will actually send me an email, and like one of the, because all the dates on the due date, they're all like different random dates. But I'm going to change one of the dates so it's 1 day, like tomorrow. So the training date's tomorrow, and then we're going to test this flow. But first I'm going to show you that under the second branch, you do the exact same thing. So we do an apply to each, and this will give, you can make like a different email to send when it's 7 days out, etc. You can do this with as many variables as you would like. Apply to each, value from the Excel sheet. And then we're going to compose. Now we got to be careful here because we already have one named date. So this one's going to be date 2. And then this is going to be from the Excel sheet. And then we're going to do compose. Date. Oh, whoops. We're going to paste that expression in there again, but we're actually going to have to modify this expression. So we go to the expression, paste. See, it says in quotes date right here. We actually need date too. All right, so that's gonna work. And then we do condition. Now yet again, if the formatted date, whoops, date to formatted. So if the date formatted is equal to 7 days out, then we'll send an email. Going to the email from the stuff, email, 7-day warning. You can customize this however you want. Dear name, your training is due, dude. 7 days or else. All right, so this is a test. I'm gonna modify the data real quick and then I'm gonna get back to you guys and we're gonna test it out. So you can see we updated our data now. I changed a couple of the dates. So this dude Trevor right here has a training date that's due tomorrow. So this man Trevor is gonna get an email from our Power Automate that his thing is due tomorrow, the 29th. And then we also have our friend Greg here who has a training due date of the 4th. So this guy is going to get a warning that his thing is due in 7 days. If you'd like as well, I was thinking about this, you could get a notification if it's beyond due as well, and you can just have that repeat daily. Shouldn't be too difficult to figure out. But so basically what we're gonna do is, because we republished the Power BI, you might get an error to where it say it cannot run the query. So all you have to do is just hook it back up to Power BI, because every time something's published or edited, republished, you just have to hook it back up. So this is really simple. You just press where it is, and then you just press on the test. And so we're going to test this real quick. See if it exports to an Excel file. And it is running. Let's refresh the page. Perfect. Okay, so it succeeded. Awesome. So let's check our Excel file in Teams just to make sure. See, it was updated a few seconds ago. I do not know why everything is dark. So I'm not really sure why it's dark, but you can see the dates are updated. Trevor has the due date of tomorrow. You barely see it, but I think Greg has the due date in 1 week. So yeah, it's updated. I don't know. There's this weird glitch that happens with Teams, but whatever. So that works. We're going to go back to our flows, and then we're going to run the second flow. And then every time you run this flow, you're going to have to reconnect. Let me stay in real quick. Yet again, it's the same thing. It takes like 10 seconds to hook it up. So we're going to edit this flow. Every day when you want to send out emails to people who have training that's close or due, you just click on this flow, click edit, and then click list rows present in table. And because it updates the Excel table every time in this other flow, we are going to have to just reconnect this real quick. You see this is like all numbers now, which means it's disconnected, but we're going to have to reconnect it. So yeah, it's in trevor.knorpp, yeah, it's documents, and then we're going to click on the file once again. And then we're going to X out that and then click on the table. Okay, so now this should work. So let's test it out. It should send me 2 emails, one for Trevor and one for the other dude. Different emails depending on the date. Let's try it. Now let's run it. Let's check it out. Hopefully we should be getting an Outlook message. Yep, there it is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. So Trevor, your training's due tomorrow. Please complete. And then we got Greg. Your training is due 7 days or else. So yeah, so that is basically how you do it. I feel like I may have glossed over a couple things. But if you have any questions, just email me. I'm going to edit this. I'm going to edit things in and out. I'm going to try to make it as comprehensive as possible. But yeah, there we go. So make sure you email me. This is my email, by the way. That's trevor.knorpp@michelin.com. Where is it? There it is, trevor.knorpp@michelin.com. Copy that. I'll put that in the Word document as well. And I'm going to work on this too so it looks cleaner and a lot easier to read. So yeah, cool. Just email me if you have any questions. If you have any problems, I'll help you through all of it. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So don't be afraid. Thank you.